Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for being with us today. We appreciate it. I'd like to go right into the questions if we can. Romania has just observed its National Day. In the 33 years since the fall of communism in 1989, the country has entered NATO, it's entered the European Union. Now it finds itself on the edge of the most threatening conflict in Europe since 1945. So with all of that as a backdrop, what do you see as Romania's role in Europe in 2023? And also, since 1989, what would you say has been the country's most significant accomplishment?
Good morning. Thank you, Dan, for inviting me. It's of course a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you for this invitation, and I'm really honored to share this virtual stage as part of the Leadership Forum program with people whom I admire and respect, and always a pleasure to address such timely topics with a good friend of mine and a good friend of Romania. Thank you for asking me. So I would say that Romania is playing right now a crucial role in that part of Europe. I mean, with this bloody war at our border. So since the invasion started on February 24th, Romania did tremendous things. I mean, receiving more than 3 million Ukrainian refugees, supporting Ukraine in every way we could do it. I mean, humanitarian aid, energy, economy, supporting the economy, supporting all the sanctions against Russia at the European level, military support. So we do all these things because we truly believe that this is a brutal invasion against a sovereign and independent country, and we feel like it's very close to what happened to Romanians for 45 years. So when Russia at that time, so Soviet Union, occupied Romania for between 1944 and 1958. So we understand very well what is going on there, and it's very true. So what you said is in 33 years, so after the fall of the communist regime, so Romania is a completely different country. So we appreciate the most the partnership, the strategic partnership that we have with the United States. And this year is a very special one for us. We celebrate 25 years since we launched the strategic partnership between Romania and the United States. And we achieved so many things. So I'm speaking about democracy, first of all, about rule of law, about our security and defense. So getting into NATO in 2004, getting into European Union in 2007, and becoming a very stable and prosperous country. And I'm pretty sure that there are so many things to say here. But a benchmark for all these things is our relationship or reconnection with the Western civilization. So when I'm speaking about Western civilization, I'm speaking about our friends and allies in Europe and in the United States. So on the both shores of the Atlantic, we have a huge alliance with so very good friends. And I can just recall here what Elie Wiesel, so a survivor, a well-known survivor, a famous survivor, a Nobel Prize laureate, born in Romania in interwar period. Whom I had the honor to meet, said, and I quote, "We must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented." And of quote. So Romania, we now take sides and firmly stand against those who oppress. And this is something that I would like to underline. So that in 33 years, so we got so many things. As I told you previously, security, defense, prosperity. So our GDP is 5 times more than the GDP we had before getting into NATO. But the most important thing is the core of values that we share with our friends and allies.
Are there any disappointments along the way? There are accomplishments. Is there something there that Romania is still reaching for? It hasn't quite gotten there yet. Any letdown of any way of anything on this road from being under communist rule to democracy?
Of course, we have things that we did not accomplish yet. So, and I'm speaking here about the education system, about the health system. We have our own problems, our own vulnerabilities, but the direction, so the path, is a good one. In the same time, we. As I told you, so Romania, we now take sides and we firmly stand against those who oppress right at our border. But throughout history, we stood on the wrong side as well. I have to tell you that since the Ali Wiesel Commission has been created back in 2004, so we accomplished so many things, but in the same time, we did not succeed to accomplish other things. So we're still waiting for building this Holocaust museum in Bucharest. We are very eager to start this huge educational program for our people in high schools. So there are things that we did not succeed to accomplish in the country. Speaking about our things that we lost in the last 33 years is, of course, a huge brain drain that we had. So more than 5 million people left Romania in the last 15 years. And this is a tragedy, a drama for a country with a bright future in front of it. So we benefited a lot from those people that they left Romania. So they sent back money, you know, they contributed in the past 15 years with experience, with their experience and expertise in many fields. So we have a huge diaspora in the United States, in Italy, in Spain, United Kingdom, Germany, and there are many of them are very well integrated people, you know, so they are very good entrepreneurs, professors, doctors, but in the same time they are not in the country. So this is something that we lost in the last 33 years. In the same time, we are not part of Schengen area yet. So this is something that we are waiting since 2011 or 2012. So in spite of the fact that we fully meet all the criterias, technical criterias, we are not yet part of OECD. So we just started the discussion this year, and we are very eager to be part of this great organization, economic organization. So we have our own vulnerabilities and problems, but I strongly believe we are on the right path, and we don't have, other option. So just to continue, just to go forward.
I just want to pick up on one point that you said, because I want to move on to the Jewish community, the Romanian Jewish community. You talked about reconnecting with the West, with Western civilization. What do you think, did 45 years under communism and during that period of an occupation teach new generations of Romanians about hard-won freedoms?
Yeah, it's a very tough question. So when the communism came, so in 1945, when the first communist government or pro-communist, pro-Soviet government at that time has been installed in Romania. So Romania was a fragile country, I would say. So a country that fought in the Second World War together with Nazi Germany. So for 4 years, then for 9 months together with the Allies. And a country, a very rural country. So 75% of the people living in the rural areas, and at the same time with huge economic problems because of the war, of course. So that fragile country at that time had to accomplish so many things, to come back, because at that time we were on the edge. So I would say for 45 years, we were disconnected from the rest of Europe. Of course, Romania was not an exception. So the whole Eastern Europe was in the same situation. But what we've lost for 45 years was this sense of democracy, of liberty, civil rights. So I would say that all these things were so hard to build in the last 33 years.
Let's talk about the Jewish community in Romania. Some date the origins of Romanian Jewry back to the 2nd century. And by 1940, there were some 850,000 Jews living in the country. And that community has produced some of the most significant Jewish figures in history: artists, musicians, writers, actors, political leaders. You mentioned Elie Wiesel. The list is a lengthy one. And among my favorites were the actor Edward G. Robinson, one of the great American actors, and the playwright Avram Goldfaden, who was the father of the Yiddish theater. And B'nai B'rith, our organization, initiated its presence in Romania already in the 1880s. Now, 1940 comes. The Holocaust decimated nearly half of the Jewish population in the country. Romania was not occupied by Nazi Germany, but it was an Axis ally. I know, and you've alluded to a couple of things a few minutes ago, that Romania has undertaken a series of programs of Holocaust education and remembrance. I served on the Wiesel Commission. You mentioned the commission that was chaired by Elie Wiesel back in 2004. It was a committee comprised mainly of leading academics to write a history of the Holocaust in Romania. And it was a well-received report because it was really done with the hands and the minds of these very important scholars who are experts in Romanian history and Romanian Jewish history. So tell us more about what's being done to remember the victims and to educate new generations about history of the Holocaust and also the history of Romanian Jewry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for asking me this. So indeed, Romania had one of the largest Jewish communities in the world before the Holocaust, and the 3rd largest in Eastern Europe after Poland and Russia. And what the Antonescu regime and the Romanian institutions very involved in the Holocaust at that time did not succeed. I mean, to expel all or to kill all the Jews in Romania, the communist regime succeeded. So all the Jews, so in the next decades after the Second World War, well, almost all the Jews fled Romania, which was a tragedy for a country. As you said, so Romania benefited a lot from this amazing community, that was very involved in so many aspects of the Romanian society, and right now we don't have more than 3,000 Jews, I think. I mean, comparing with Hungary, so a country of about 9 million people, so having 100,000 Jewish community. It was a real difficult. So it was a really tough fight for coming to this idea of having a commission, led by a famous Holocaust survivor, a commission that had to draft a report regarding the Holocaust in Romania. Of course, there were at that time so many documents available, but in the same time, the government and politicians were not so eager to recognize, to acknowledge the Romanian involvement into the Holocaust. So that's why we needed at that time a commission formed by famous researchers and well-known experts in Jewish problems, to draft a report, which was something not so common in our part of the world after after the fall of the communist regime. So what we succeeded to do in 20 years. So next year we're gonna celebrate 20 years since we established the Elie Wiesel Commission. So we at the embassy we have a plan to organize events, to celebrate this event. But what we got in the last 20 years was, first of all, training people in Romania. I mean, the elite, the political elite, the business elite, in this respect of acknowledge that Romania had before the Second World War a huge Jewish community. We lost huge heritage with all these people living Romania after 1945, and in the same time trying to make the people to remember what was wrong with our society in an interwar period, because the anti-Semitism was very present at that time, and in the same time how a Holocaust could happen in Romania with the huge involvement of our political elite, religious elite, military elite. So it was and is still a huge question. And we succeeded to do so many things. So I'm not speaking about an agency, governmental agency called National Institute for Studying the Holocaust in Romania, Elie Wiesel, having a national day to commemorate the Holocaust victims, publishing the report, taking measures to have Holocaust in school curricula, but in the same time being very involved in this matter. I mean, trying to make Romania a regional model, for our partners and allies. So it was a long process of embracing our past and come to terms with some of the most dishonorable deeds of our national history. recognizing the Romanian efforts in this respect. So in 2016, for instance, Romania took the chairmanship of the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. And Romania succeeded at that time to do that, something that many other countries did not succeed to do previously. I mean, to bring all the people together from this organization, so International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, and to adopt a non-legally binding working definition on anti-Semitism. And I have to honor here the tremendous work made by Ambassador Mihnea Constantinescu. He passed away, so God bless him. He did a tremendous job in this respect, and this working definition was adopted, by more than 30 countries and international organizations, including here United States Congress, or United Nations. So Romania, proved to be not only at national level but also at the international level a huge model of how we dealt with all these issues. And we also have this museum project in Bucharest. We made tremendous steps in this direction. I mean, the government of Romania offered to the museum a famous building, a former Jewish bank from interwar period, to host the next museum. We already got more than 15 million, from European Commission to erect this museum, and we are very eager to do this museum. And the main idea, supported by the president, where the Romanian government and Romanian parliament, is to build a museum as a house with a strong educational component. So it's not just about the past, but it's about the future. So the main goal of this museum is not only to commemorate, to remember the Holocaust victims, but also to promote the protection of the memory of the Holocaust victims and non-discrimination, to speak about the civil rights, to speak about the xenophobia and anti-Semitism as current problems of our everyday life.
I think it's no question, the museum, when it is open, will be not only everything that you've said in terms of it being an educational institution, in addition to being a museum, but also a destination for the very large, extensive Romanian Jewish diaspora, which is out there. So we wish you well. And in that project, and I also wanted to mention also the monument to commemorate the Holocaust in Bucharest, which was also one of the recommendations that came out of the Wiesel report. So there are a number of things that have been done and are being done, and we'll be following them closely, particularly the museum. I want to ask you about the neighborhood in which you live. In recent years, and not just, I would say even beyond the borders of your neighborhood. In recent years, Europe has witnessed a spike in far-right, ultra-nationalist political activity, often accompanied at the same time by a great deal of anti-Semitism, aided and abetted by the internet, which we see everywhere in the world. How do you explain the growth of this political phenomenon, and what do you think can be done to counter it?
It's a very tough question. I don't know if you know, but for almost 2 decades, Romania did not have in the parliament a party that opposes, all these values that we share. So we were so proud of that. So until 2020, so when we had the election, and such a party became member of our parliament, which was really strange for everybody. Of course, during the pandemic, there were so many things that made us to believe that something was broken in our society. But in the same time, I would say that nobody was prepared for that. So having, after 20 years, this great Romania party that we had in the 90s, which was a shame for Romania. I have to say that. So I don't want to avoid saying that. So it was a shame because, neglecting our the core of values that we share, openly denying Holocaust and so on and so forth. So before entering into NATO and before entering to the European Union, this party lost the election. So for everybody was like a sign that Romania is fully vaccinated against xenophobia, anti-Semitism, against discrimination, and so on and so forth. So the elections that we had in 2020 proved us that this virus is still in our society. And we just discovered how many, normal people, so ordinary Romanians, got the message sent by horrible messages, sent by this party. And of course, I don't have an answer. So maybe we need 10 or 20 hours, to discuss about that. But the education is the only way we can achieve, the antibodies that we need to fight against this virus. This is something that we cannot do it overnight. So we need years and years, to fight. To continue to fight against all these viruses from the society, and this proved to be something that we have forgotten. So that anti-Semitism is not a relic of the past, and we should not abandon our fight against it. So. Humanity should not stand idle to witness attacks against Jews in Romania, in Israel, in Germany, across Europe, or in the United States. So there are two main challenges that we must address before it's too late. First of all, we must fight against forms of latent anti-Semitism, which are hard to preempt and can morph into monsters if left unaddressed. And as I told you, the Romanian example is a very good one for so many people that thought that anti-Semitism is a relic of the past. And secondly, we must identify the right tools to combat conspiracy theories online. So we strongly believe that the pandemic proved to be, an example of how ordinary people could be inflicted with all these toxic ideas. The spread of propaganda and proselytism of hate. So social media then, has become, unfortunately, an outlet of hate speech, anti-Semitism, anti-Roma discrimination. And this is something I truly believe that is out of any order. So we had so many problems in the past. We still have problems, and I'm pretty sure we'll have this kind of problems in the future. But the tools that we have are nothing comparing with their tools,
We have time for a couple more questions. Some say that there may be nearly 500,000 Israelis of Romanian origin. So assess, if you would, the Romanian-Israeli relationship. I know that it's a short flight. I think it's under 2 hours between the two countries. Flights going on all the time. People going back and forth. Tell us about that relationship.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for asking me this. Yes, so as I told you, so after 1988, this great year when the state of Israel was recreated, were refounded in the Middle East, so in Palestine. So many thousands of Romanians came from Romania. And of course, all these ties were strengthened during the communist regime, so we have to admit that. So the communist regime was the only one, the Romanian communist regime was the only communist regime in the Soviet bloc that, for instance, refused at that time, to cut off the relationship with Israel. So we had a very good relations, and Israel is Romania's closest partner right now in the wider Middle East and the global trusted partner. And of course, I strongly believe that we are so far from the potential. So having such a great community of Israeli Romanians in Israel, so we need to do more. So I'm very proud to say that we have a great ambassador there. So Radu Ioanid, a Romanian and American citizen, he worked for 30 years, within the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. So with a great expertise and experience, and he does a great job there in Israel. But we are keenly interested in further developing a solid and comprehensive bilateral cooperation, which has clear strategic relevance for both our countries. So we have, of course, a strong political dialogue. The last visit paid by the last president of Israel, so before President Herzog, was in Romania. Romanian president, I accompanied Romanian president in at least 2 visits in Israel. We have increasing economic cooperation, and by the excellent collaboration in security and defense areas. But I strongly believe we can do more. And I would like to outline the importance of our political dialogue in these turbulent times. And coordination regarding Russia's malign activities affecting international security. And we welcome Israel's support for Ukraine and the condemnation of Russia's unprovoked aggression publicly and particularly within the United Nations Assembly. So this is truly important. So it was great that Israel voted in March for this resolution, so aggression against Ukraine, because people of Israel, are under attack for 70, 80 years. So it's great to see, like-minded partners at our border, but also in the Middle East.
Well, you're certainly right about Ambassador Ioanid. He's been a good friend of many of ours for a long time. And he serves as you say, he's been a tremendous bridge, not only between Romania and Israel, but also Romania and the United States and the Jewish communities and all of these places. So you're absolutely on target. Mr. Ambassador, I'm going to ask you one more question. It relates, you got to get the crystal ball out here because we're going to look at a little bit at the future. For 2023, are there any Europe-related predictions other than Ukraine, or unless you'd like to comment on what the outcome in Ukraine may be? What are we looking for in the year ahead in Europe? that we should be mindful of?
Yes, so I don't want to predict something, but I have to say that this war, seems to be a long war. People are under bombs, and the bombs are Russian. So the next year, I'm gonna predict that at least the first half of the next year will be under the same the same auspices of having a war, a bloody war at our border in Europe. But I'm pretty sure that on the second half of the next year, we will see the sun rising. So this is something that we have to think about, because it's not just about the reconstruction of Ukraine, but it's about the entire, entire security framework that we have to rebuild after this bloody war. So we will have probably another 2 NATO members next year. We will have a very weak regime in Russia. So as the economists predict, the Russian economy will be really hit by all the sanctions that we've imposed together with our allies and partners. And we should look carefully at what's going on in Kremlin.
Ambassador Muraru, thank you so much for spending this time with us today to talk about Romania, talk about the issues that we share in common, that we're concerned about in common. And we wish you and Romania the very best going forward as we enter the new year.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for this very good discussion. And you already know that B'rith is a very strong partner of us, and you are a truly friend of Romania. Thank you.
Thank you.